Howdy, it's Gabby from Print Design Academy here, where we teach graphic designers how to be experts in print and packaging design. Now we're at step 5 in our Print Ready File series. If you haven't seen the first steps, you've got a little bit of catching up to do. But if you're here and ready for export, let's get into it. Let me show you how to export your file for print in both InDesign and Illustrator. Let's go.
You have arrived at day 5. It is the last video, the last sequence. This is where we're talking about exporting your files. You have worked hard along the way, getting everything print ready, and this is where it all pays off, it all comes together. So congrats. I'm excited. This is the best part. So it's gonna be a little bit of a longer one, but we're gonna show you how to do everything properly, as well as a few little things that are kind of fun within Adobe Acrobat that you may not have known. So yeah, really excited to share it with you. All right, so we're in these final stages now. I'm in InDesign. We're gonna take a look at our file from start to finish. Even though we worked on it step by step, you just never know. Along the way, stuff happens. You know, it's always good to just triple check your work. So we're gonna start at the top. We worked through document setup, right? So let's see if everything is looking good. So with document setup, we want to be in CMYK. We're in InDesign. It already defaults for that. We got print here. Awesome. Are our dimensions correct? We've got, you know, this is the direct dimensions I wanted. Great. The bleed, 1/8 of an inch around. Perfect. I can see the bleed here. I can see it within the artwork here as well with the red around. Perfect. So the next thing then is our swatches. So we've got document setup good. We're going to head over to swatches and take a look. Now, it's a good idea at this point when you're kind of like playing with these layers and stuff, just to triple check stuff. It's good to have stuff unlocked because then at least it can kind of look into it more accurately. So I like to unlock everything on the page. And then let's head over to swatches now. Okay, first thing, at this stage, I like to add unnamed colors. So what that means is it's going to add any colors that are in your file that aren't listed as swatches. So they're a little rogue, right? And already I've got this random orange here. I don't know where it came from, but we're gonna find out where it is. So I'm gonna right click it and click find this color. So that's a really handy little InDesign feature. Click find this color. You can also do like a quick change color if you wanted to find it and do it more individually, like find next, etc., and then change it or replace it. So I'm going to do find, and there you go. It's highlighting it. So this orange is not the right orange. While I'm here, I could go ahead and go, okay, that's the orange I want to replace it with, change all. But before I do that, another thing with InDesign is, let's say there's multiple instances and I just want to get all those oranges looking correct. I can hit the delete button here and it's going to ask me to choose which swatch I want to replace it with. So I'm going to choose that orange. There you go. That got darker. I know that that's correct. So, you know, one more time, just for good measure, add unnamed. Okay, now the next one is select all unused. So I actually didn't end up really using the cyan in here. I mean, it is in this artwork here. So when they try and bring it in and look at it, they'll kind of notice that. But so I'm going to leave it here anyway, because I know that it's a part of that artwork. But yeah, so this is where you would start deleting any unnecessary swatches that you didn't end up using. Good to keep that layers and all that stuff clean. So the next thing that we're going to go on to is taking a look at something called rich black. So that's within the swatches here. Now rich black is, instead of using black, when you lay down one layer of black ink, a rich black is basically like a fortified black. It's called a boosted black. And what that means is when you paint one layer of black, you kind of get this like splotchiness sometimes. So a way to prevent that when you have massive full cover areas of black, like this big area in the background, it's really a good place to kind of add a rich black, because when you're doing one coat of paint splotchy, a couple coats or like adding a few extra layers of colors in there, it really makes it a rich and darker black. So I like, at the end when you kind of got everything designed and settled, it's a good time to kind of go through and do that. So let's say here, let's add a new swatch. Oh, I'm gonna grab the black there because it's easy. So let's add a new swatch, and I'm gonna call this Rich Black. I'm gonna keep it as a process color, but I'm gonna make this 30%, 30%, 30%. So that's 30% cyan, yellow, and magenta on top of a 100% black. You can talk to your printers to see what percentages and things like that they favor. This is a good one. It's kind of more just, simple, straightforward. And on that note as well, you can also get like more blue colors or warmer rich blacks, depending on how you want to move all those scales of percentages. But yeah, so that's my rich black there. So I'm going to go ahead and get this background in that rich black. Okay, so that's going to be used there. That keeps it nice and full feeling. So that is good. Yeah, and the next thing too, just, if you wanted to, if everything was done, it was all designed, a good point is to make a swatch for your specialty finishing. Now, we did talk about kind of, when you're adding layers and you're having your specialty finishing laid out with like your spot glosses and all of that stuff. So at this point, if you were doing kind of a more unique color, or like, let's say this was all going to be in a spot gloss, I would probably, duplicate that. And so I'd have that duplicated on that other layer, and then I would create a brand new swatch for it. Yeah, so here, let me grab another swatch. Oop. So if I created a new swatch and I wanted it to be kind of something ridiculous, because then I would see obviously that it doesn't match, the printers are going to be like, oh, that's weird, I don't like that color, like why is it in RGB? So then you would do something like spot gloss. It's very important you have it as a spot as well, not to say spot to spot gloss, but just if it was any other call out, the spot really pulls it out, and you'll see when we get to the export of the PDF how that looks and what that means. But yeah, so a bright funky color, and then you would make a duplicate of this or something and have all of your things that are in spot gloss in that green. So that just is another indicator for your printers. So that's a good, it's a good time to do that now. Just kind of make sure everything's aligned, finish design, lock it all in with those fancy little swatches and all that. And same goes for layers. Add those layers, making sure that they are sorted. So let's go ahead and just take a quick look as well as I'm mentioning it. So this is where I would have been, okay, let's add that spot gloss, etc., right? But everything that needs to be called out, we don't have any fancy finishing, so we're okay with these layers as they are. I still have my live text just hiding there for my own usages later. And then that kind of, as we're talking about text, let's take a look at the text. So everything is outlined, we did do that before. Let's just hover everything. Let's make sure. And then I also want to make sure that, you're anytime you're using black for text, that it is actually 100% black and it's not some other RGB black or anything like that. Unless it's a personal design choice of using a different shade of black, but yeah, it can often get lost in the type of accidentally using different colors and such. So that's good there. Okay, so now we kind of went over type, document setup. Now the last one is our images. So let's do a quick little check on here. We've got our links, and these are all of them here with CMYK and 300 DPI. So that's good. Just a note, anytime you are using a link, if you wanted to kind of triple check them, PDFs and EPSs, it doesn't really show the true color nature behind it. So it's always good to just triple check those links kind of out in the other program or whatever program you need to double check that they are using CMYK. So that is the full spectrum there. Now, one thing that I love about InDesign is their pre-flight. So we're not doing a huge document. We don't have a magazine with 100 pages or anything like that. So there's not really a need to package this document. So when I say pre-flight, when I say package, you go to File and you go to Package. So when you're packaging a document, it literally creates a little nice folder that has all of these related items in it. It's going to have your fonts. It's going to have your links. It'll have some color information if you want it to. But so that's something like when I'm kind of getting to this stage, I like to pull up this anyway because it's going to show you if you're having any issues with your images. And if you have any fonts that need to be linked. So again, This is really great for multi-page documents. For us, we're just gonna submit this as a PDF, double-sided, no extra weird things we need to add to it. But I just wanna show you this because it's helpful in the sense of double checking if your files are all correct. So again, the summary has that information. It's saying how many are in the RGB space. You got 4 processings. I've got and then 3 spot inks. Those are my Pantones. Clicking fonts. Here we go. Those are our fonts. Links and images. So like I said, it says JPEG, CMYK. I can click it and it's going to give me sort of a PPI situation going on too. So that's good. Any colors? Look, I've got my Pantones situated. Here we go. That. And then this is when you would hit package. Let's go ahead and save. Yeah, no worries. So just to show you kind of what it looks like, but this is where you get those options. So yes, if you wanted to copy fonts, if it was a long document, those linked graphics. IDML is a file type where it's more compatible with older versions of InDesign. So that's really handy when you're kind of sending stuff around. And then you can include a PDF version of it. Yeah, so then it just like it's all one nice little bundle. I like to, either way, when I'm finished with a job in general, I like to package my files just for myself to have them in the folder because, you know, links are in random stuff. Links get changed, they get deleted. When I'm sending to clients or just after a job, I like to package it just for my own little, you know, keeping it all together. And now it's actually time to export this into a PDF. So we're going to go to File. There's PDF presets. You can hit, you know, if you want to create one, you're there, but we're going to go File, Export, and we're going to save this as a PDF. So high quality print, so definitely start off there. The other ones can kind of do color compressions and some other types of compressions. So talk to your printer if they have anything else, but high quality print is the most general, easy to use. Now, I'm going to do spreads for this because we did the facing pages situation. I want to make sure that I have the whole spread laid out. Now, if you did your whole artwork as just one without facing pages, then you would do pages. But I'm doing spreads because of the facing pages feature. So high quality print, that's good there. Now the next thing is the compressions. Sorry, marks and bleed. That's the next thing. So you want to get your crop marks on there for sure. That's going to tell them where to trim it. And document bleed setting. So that's 0.125 inches. That's correct. We're good to go there. And then I'm just going to hit the export button. So we can take a look. We're going to take a little bit look of that. We're going to take a look at the PDF in a little bit. I'm just going to go over to Illustrator. We'll do this process and then we can look at the PDF all in one go after. So Illustrator, let's go.
Hey there, you're clearly interested in learning more about print design. An important part of that is exporting your file for print. It's easy to miss little things along the way, so that's why we created the Print Ready Files checklist. And you can get that for free at the link in the description of this video. This easy to follow, step-by-step checklist will help you make sure your files are print ready before you send them to the printer. Graphic designers of all levels will find this to be a valuable tool. And it's free, so go check it out at the link in the description, and back to the video.
Okay, so Illustrator, I mean, similar kind of process, but we're gonna go through it anyway. There are a few little differences, so yeah, we're gonna go through it. Again, we're gonna triple check this document. I know, if you follow directions along the way, awesome, but always better to triple check your stuff. So starting with document setup. With Illustrator, you do have to pick that RGB CMYK little option there. So making sure it is in CMYK is more important in Illustrator. I can see it is based on this little tab here saying it is CMYK, but you can go File, Document Setup, and then also get the bleed here as well, just to see. And if you wanted to triple check that it was in color mode, it would be File, Document Color Mode, and it's CMYK there. So yeah, so we're good there. We got our bleed, we got our doc setup, so that's that. Now on to swatches. Swatches over here. We are going to hit the hamburger menu, and because we're kind of at the end here, we're going to do add used colors. And so nothing happens, so that tells me that there aren't any other rogue random colors hiding in here. I just forgot, let me just triple check. Okay, all the layers are not, no layers are locked or anything, so we'll look at that in a second anyway, but yeah, so no swatches are appearing randomly, so that tells me we're good to go, everything's in there. Now select all unused. Yeah, so the cyan's picking up again. It's not used directly in here, but I know it's in that file, so I'm gonna just leave it. Yeah, so that's good there. So swatches are nice and tidy. Now we did talk about rich black, right? So there's an area here where I can see that, I've got this big kind of filled black area of ink. So I definitely want to make that into a rich black swatch. And another thing I didn't mention earlier, but rich black is also really great if you have big, bold kind of type that's black as well. Like if there's enough surface area, you can definitely use the rich black there. Just don't use it on smaller, fine type. Okay, so let's call this rich ink black. Wow, spelling, there we go. And we're gonna keep it as process. And as I mentioned, 30%, 30, 30, that's usually a pretty good mix. You can talk to your printers, like I said, as well, get a good sense of what they're wanting. And that is now rich black. So that's set up. So this is looking good. Those are our swatches. Next, on to layers. So we've got everything on, our background artwork. That's all kind of fine and dandy. Now, where it would be really important is where you were adding those layers for, again, your spot glosses. If you wanted to put a fold line in there, any specialty finishing, that gets its own little layer as well as its own swatch accordingly, right? But layers are looking good, nice and tidy here. And we're gonna take a look at our type as well. So type, what do we got? Everything's outlined. Yeah, that looks good. Oh, there we go. That's that there. Also outlined there. And as we said, if there were any typos, the live text layer exists because, thinking ahead. And yeah, that's type taken care of. Now the next would just be images, lastly. So we used links, so that's handy dandy. So let's go take a look at our links here. If I select this image, I can see it's 300 PPI, it's CMYK, awesome. Let's click the next one, CMYK 300, good stuff. So those are all looking good too. And because it's such a small file, there's no real need to package this as well. Illustrator does have a packaging system where it's kind of file packaged, so you can get a similar outcome, but it doesn't have the same pre-flight as InDesign where it shows you whether or not your color spaces are correct, your inks, all of that stuff. So that's why InDesign's packaging is a little nicer. But either way, you could still package it, not needed for what we're doing since it's such a small file and all of our text is outlined, etc. So on that note, let's go ahead and export this thing. So we're gonna go File, and actually, I say export, but really it's save. So for Illustrator, you just save as with your PDFs. InDesign's export, Illustrator, save as PDF. So let's do that. All right, I'm gonna get all, and we're gonna hit save. And we're gonna click high quality print, same as what we did for InDesign. High quality print, limit some of the compressions and such. Preserve Illustrator capabilities. That is super useful for this instance. You can't really bring an InDesign PDF back into InDesign, but you can bring the Illustrator PDF straight in there and get all that full editable capability. All right, so marks and bleeds, that's the next important one. Trim marks, it's called crop marks in InDesign, it's trim marks in Illustrator. Same difference though, that's where that's gonna trim on your file. Trim marks and document bleed settings, of course. And that looks all correct, 0.125, perfect. And there's not much more you need here. I mean, there is a little bit of a summary. You can kind of get a sense of some of the stuff, but not really at all very useful. Okay, I'm gonna hit save. Save PDF. Great, so those are both InDesign and Illustrator exported. So now we're gonna take a look at Adobe Acrobat to kind of show you how to proof your file before you even send it to the printer. So let's go. Okay, so we just exported all of our PDFs for InDesign and Illustrator. And so now I'm looking at Adobe Acrobat. So we're gonna double check our work here using the print production tool in Acrobat. So it's a little known secret, I guess, and it's kind of a really helpful tool that's underutilized, and so I'm here to show you. So you want to bring it up. If you don't have it in your sidebar already, you're going to use the More Tools panel here, and you're going to go ahead and click Add. Mine says Open because it exists already, but this Print Production one is the one that you want. So now going back to our file. So this is the Illustrator one. This is the InDesign one. You know, they're a little different, but so I've got all my files here. The InDesign one's nice with the facing pages. You see this little line here. It sort of indicates the fold, so that's kind of cool. Illustrator doesn't quite have it, but all good. You just let your printer know. Need a fold down the center. Easy peasy. So this print production tool, you're going to want to go to Output Preview. And it's pretty cool. So this is what we're talking about when we say spot colors and the process colors. So it really shows you the separations here. So I have show art and trim. So typically when you're looking at it, it kind of looks like this. If you want to see, okay, do I have my bleed and my crop on there, right? You can click this little checkbox and it's going to show you that. And then we are also going to take a look at our little layers. So if I remove the cyan, you see how this black in the background is showing up that kind of like red and peachy? Because it's a rich black, it will show all of the layers in there. That's what that regular black would be. So that's that black layer hiding up behind it. And then if I start building it back, there's our yellow, our magenta, our cyan. Awesome. Same kind of goes in here, right? So the yellow is definitely that. And you'll see a few of these kind of colors floating around because they have those spot colors. So that Pantone orange, it starts coming back on and coming in and out, right? And then as well as up here, I mean, it's kind of hiding. It's the little bits and bobs here. Let's put all the process plates back so we can see. But yeah, so that orange here and there, that green, you know, so it definitely is, you can't really see that one, but yeah, so over that one there with the purple, anyway, overkill now. But basically all of your spot colors will show up here. And that's when you are doing specialty finishings or anything, I mean, I know that's kind of a random stuff, when you want to call stuff out by putting it into a spot swatch, it pulls out of this process jumble and it makes it really called out and in this bottom section. So yeah, that's Illustrator. I mean, InDesign, my InDesign file should be the same. We walked through this together. So again, you can kind of play with that process. It's really cool to see the whole thing come together, that cyan magenta building, and yeah, those spot colors floating around too. But yeah, have some fun playing here, figure it out. But that is a really useful tool you can use on all your projects just to pre-flight it yourself, check it out before you send it to the printers.
And that's how you export your file for print in InDesign and Illustrator. Well, that's a wrap on our Print Ready File series. Come back anytime if you want a refresher. But if you're looking to learn more about print and packaging design, head over to printdesignacademy.com or check out the fun links in the video description. Get out there and print some cool stuff. See you later.